I understand you are in Oklahoma, Jonie.
I am, Mark, and on this day, this gorgeous day, it's pure white. It's snowing, and the ground is covered with ice, which makes, by the way, we're surrounded by woods, and the icing on all the trees makes it magical.
No, I can imagine it, and just to tell everybody listening, you did promise to send me a picture, so I'm gonna hold you to that. And but I do remember those days in Montreal, and the most beautiful days are when it's the crisp, cold days with the sun shining and the snow just kind of falling at the same time. In fact, my mom used to always had a picture that I did as a little kid, maybe grade 1 or 2. I did a sunny snowstorm painting for her, and but that's kind of so it's beautiful. So first, so welcome, Jonie.
Thank you for having me, Mark. It's a
No,
pleasure to be here.
my pleasure. Your accomplishments and what you do deserves to be on a Leaders Who Care series, and that's the whole purpose of what we do, is to recognize and hear the stories and chat about leaders who care and why, and showing that it actually is good for business and good for community and good for people in general to care. So if you can start just by briefly introducing yourself, and don't do a Robin Williams and tell me the whole story right away. Just briefly introduce yourself and then we'll chat.
Okay, great. So my name is Jonie Rogers-Kante. I'm the founder, first distributor, and CEO of Synergence International. Synergence International is a direct sales company, and we sell cosmetics. We were the first company in the world to patent and introduce into the cosmetic space long wear, not come off color cosmetics.
Pretty significant. What about family? Tell me a little bit about you and your family.
I am the lucky mother of 2 sons. I had them 2 lifetimes apart. I had my first when I was 30 and my second when I was 50. So I have a 33-year-old and a 13-year-old. I'm married to my best friend and partner, Ben Conte, and he and I still work side by side to this day.
What a great name. It sounds like a sports or a musician name, Ben Conte. That's pretty.
I know. That's part of the reason I fell in love with him.
Of course. So you're an award-winning CEO, founder. I have to have notes just to keep track of all this stuff. Entrepreneur, philanthropist, author, cosmetics industry. Probably easier asking you what you haven't been at the end of the day. But I know there's a lot more than just the titles. So before we delve into everything, I like to ask people their why, but in a different way. Why do you do what you do?
Well, first of all, when you say those things, I'm like looking behind me, and I'm not questioning the awards that have been won. I'm looking at the long line of people who actually deserve those titles and who were a part of becoming that. Because in my case, for sure, I was not all that. I do what I do because I wanted a safe, secure, loving place where that I could go to work as a single mother who was absolutely broke with my, then oldest son, and support him and provide money for rent and food and make sure I could clothe him. And so after my untimely divorce, I literally had $7 in my pocket. So I had nothing to lose. I thought, okay, I'm going to go for broke. I'm going to write a business plan. I went to the library to get a book on how to write a business plan, checked out the library book, went through it page by page, wrote the plan, described in it the perfect product that I would spend my money on as a woman, which did not exist, and went about, after writing this business plan, which took a couple years while I lived with a girlfriend, went about trying to put all the pieces together. And ultimately, it took about 5 years. And in 1999, we started selling our first product.
It's interesting. There's nothing more motivational than making sure your kid's okay, right?
That was my sole intention. And I thought, I know I'm not the only woman in that position, and I would never want to see another woman in that position. So the career path that I wrote within our company is truly written for the distributor. I wrote the career path for me. I said, okay, if I'm going to help build a brand in the marketplace for a company, and I always looked at the company as like this third party thing,
Mhm.
I'm going to spend my life, my energy building this brand. What do I want out of it? What would make me feel good about myself and my time spent away from my child in return? And literally, that's how it was built. I had some, money types and people smarter than me take a look at the business plan and the compensation plan and back into it to make sure that the company would get a fair return so it could continue to reinvest in itself and grow.
Mhm.
And that was confirmed by like three different people. So I felt confident that as long as I could continue to work on a product that I could honestly stand behind and deliver to the marketplace, that the company would work.
Not to mention, and it's unfortunate. It wasn't not that long ago, but it was at a time, which still is a lot of issues. It was at a time when women weren't really taking the reins of a lot of things, right?
No, they weren't, and they're still not. And Mark, I really have an issue with that. You know how there's this kind of, I don't know if it's an unspoken rule, but now you're supposed to have X amount of women on your board for big companies. Well, there aren't that many more women to choose from over men because a lot of women make decisions to stay home with their family,
Which is
and
fun.
that is their priority. So the pool to choose from, women who are willing to work out of their home, 18 hours, 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, fly around the world, work as hard as it takes to be invited to a board as a CEO or a high level executive, the pool is just smarter. So I'm not really a fan of that theory. I think you can be a darn smart woman. Yes, because we have lots of them. Very smart women who choose to be the CEO of their own business in their home while they're having their cake and eat it too, which is keeping their family a priority and spending time with their family.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant, and you're right. We do, as one of the pillars of Fifth Element, is we have a whole executive search, what we call human element practice, and we put a lot of women into positions, leadership, but not only leadership, mid management and up, so they can keep being in. But it goes to the dignity of work issue for women and everybody, for that matter. In that we shouldn't undervalue and judge what people are doing. Everybody should have dignity in what they decide to do.
That is true. And just because you're working from your home does not mean that you're not, the executive type. Because of course, the career women in direct sales are entrepreneurs and they have a huge skill set from which to pull that they have spent years learning and developing to reach the levels of success that they have achieved, providing more than a full-time income for their family and a lifestyle.
Yeah, I actually think there's a lot of men that wouldn't mind staying home and and doing that too, and so it could go both ways. But certainly the pendulum has gone not to the women. Now we're getting there, and with things that you've done. Well, let me go back a minute. It's actually taken decades for corporate leaders to realize that aligning with impact, and impact is a lot of different types of impact, but aligning with impact is actually good for business. It's good for their people, but it's also good for the community.
Mhm.
So, with respect to that, you've been, and you can tell right by how you're talking, you've empowered women by what you're doing, so that maybe they can even get the best of both worlds and not feel bad about it, but actually feel great about it. But you've also done other things. You've used during COVID. You've used your supply chain super effectively to support people with PPE. You've did a million sanitizers had put out, and you're still manufacturing sanitizers and so on. And what motivates you to differentiate yourself, if you will, as one of the leaders who care to do that type of stuff?
It's just the right thing to do, as you know, because you're involved in so many wonderful causes and movements. When you have the access to, in our case, raw materials or components, or even the talent pool who can pull things together when there's a need for it, then you do it because you can do it and you should do it because it just helps uplift our community. We have and have had since the second year of the company's existence a sister nonprofit foundation called the Make Sense Foundation. And a percentage of our company sales is funneled into that foundation every single day. So as our distributors are out sharing our products that really work for a great value that women can actually afford, they are also feeding into this pool to the Make Sense Foundation. And those women may nominate the nonprofits in their own communities to receive, pools of that money to support the charities within their own communities that also support women and children in need. Could be medical needs, it could be food, it could be clothing, it could be health issues. So we have the privilege of being able to, as a company and as a body in our own Senate community, to know that every single day that goes by, we are, giving back to those who basically are supporting us as well as we succeed within our businesses, within our own communities. That's pretty important.
Yeah, and that is to be honest, that is what a leadership care. We talked about a little of this before that we got on. What a leader who cares does. They realize that by putting people in a position to win, if you will, and aligning them yourself with impact, your business can actually be better, and it then helps the community too. You've connected all those dots, right?
Yes. And one of the things that we're working on now is of great concern to everyone, and that's the mental health of those who are more or less isolated and or are just kind of boxed in and limited to how they get to move around. I mean, my husband and boys and I are here in Oklahoma on this ranch, and this ranch is just about the only place we go to, but we have 600 acres, so we have some space, you know what I mean? Other people don't. So the problem was, and what I was seeing within our sales force was the realization of the state of mind of our women as they are there alone month after month after month. And so the solution for us was to build one of those giant media walls that was, I don't know, 40 feet high and I think 110 feet long. And we had thousands of our distributors join us on Zoom live so we could talk to them. And that's how we began to hold our events. But there was nothing like it. It didn't even come close to taking place of wrapping your arms around them and hugging them and looking them square in the eye and saying, how are you? And I've missed you. And let's catch up. So instead, my husband did some exploration and took us to the next step, which we believe is going to help tremendously. And that is, we are rebuilding our entire Cineworld into the spatial web. And next weekend, we are, for the first time as a company, meeting with our leader distributors from all over the world in the spatial world, in a 3D world where we are ourselves, and we can stand there and talk to each other in our, what looks like our bodies, one-on-one. We can wrap our arms around each other. It makes it feel and seem as though we're in each other's presence. And I just think that is such an important feature, I guess we could call it a feature,
Yep.
That people who are working with people have access to, so that we can eliminate this feeling of isolation and have a place where people can come together.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And, from breakdown or crisis always comes opportunity.
Mhm.
And we've learned, number one, because we miss the hugging, and I'm a hugger. We're huggers in our group here, too. And there's a physiological, mental, everything from hugging in that. And so if you don't have it, we've actually learned how to connect better, in our opinion, using technology. We were connected before, but not the same way because we really miss what we missed. And we have other clients that are also using like that spatial, that whole way to do it. And it's it forces us to go look for other things to make a difference. And it's kind of like when astronauts go up to space and they invent something for medicine or whatever. Things happen basically. And so that's I'll have to talk to you about a group we partner with under a whole business for peace thing called Kululam, who brings people from around the world, different people together singing, and it's an incredible experience. People like Palestinians, Israelis, and Muslims, and all sorts of different people, and so you're right. Mental health, probably it looks like, may become a bigger problem by far than even COVID itself,
Mhm.
as to what's happening. So, speaking of health, then, my grandparents used to always, they were from Kiev, and they used to always say, I'm sure your parents too and whatnot, that as long as you have your health, that's the most important thing, right? It was like that. And then education, but the health was and it wasn't a brand or a slogan. This was real life they're talking about. Nothing else mattered. So, um, with all the stuff we're seeing, technology is still zooming, COVID's going on, wildfires, racial justice finally hitting a tipping point, but Mother Nature decides, let's put it all together and see what can happen. So, with all that going on, have you seen in your family, your community, your distributors, an awakening, if you want to call it, about what's important?
Well, certainly an awakening that it's okay and you shouldn't feel guilty to say, this served as a period of time that was actually a blessing. So I got to spend time with my family, my
Mhm.
immediate family, like my son and my boys here on the ranch. I would never have had the chance to spend this kind of time with my boys because they're running in different directions. And of course, so are Ben and I all the time at our home in California. Um, so we're our tens of thousands, hundred thousands of
Right.
girls who are involved with our company are now getting to a point where we're saying that's okay and that's a good thing. But let me get back to the health issue
Mhm.
because we don't want to sit in front of our computers all day.
Right.
So we're very concerned about that because we have to look at the body as a whole. So Ben and I, Synogens, have teamed up with an innovator in nutrition, a scientific-based nutrition system. We haven't announced this yet, but we've signed contracts early January, and we are launching a product line that basically our one of our taglines is the beauty's in the blend, so that you can have a very healthy inside body, which in turn
I love that.
helps you have more gorgeous skin, and that's what we are. We're a skincare and cosmetic company. So of course your inner health is just as important with your outer health. Now, because of COVID and the fact that we're now going to the spatial web 3.0, and everybody's in the habit of using Zoom, we believe that habits are going to change moving in the future. In fact, we had a campus. We had plans to build a campus with the traditional headquarters and the things that you need to support that campus for several thousand people. But we're rethinking that because we do not believe that people will work in workspaces the way that they used to.
Right.
And we're finding ways to incorporate into our product line, not only the health line, but exercise and wellness so that we can address the whole person. And that includes the space that we provide and the requirements that we um, outline for our employees and how they actually show up to work. I mean, some days need to be set aside as health days and getting everyone on an exercise routine. And of course, we do the things like pay for a gym membership for our employees, but uh, it's more than that. It's about a lifestyle, and you got to buy into this lifestyle when you join our company, because everything we do, touches those touch points.
Yeah, so I'm aligned with you. There's no doubt we do a lot of work in well-being and workplace environment. And in fact, when we put people into companies, it's not just the right fit, because the right fit kind of is misinterpreted as you're exactly like everybody there already. It should be the right fit culture add, and culture includes buying in, as you're saying, to hey, we want to be healthy together, etc. And so that's actually great to hear. And from the inside, people are struggling. I mean, in all sorts of ways, and suicides are up, and this and that and the other, and domestic violence is up, and so people need that. And I remember reading a lot of studies, and they said the most important thing that fills the heart and souls of people, once you're done with food and air, is belonging.
I believe that connection.
Yeah,
People need connection.
it's just the way we're made. The architect that put us together stuck that in there somewhere. I don't know how.
Thank goodness, I enjoy it.
Me too. Well, I want to ask you a couple other questions, but first I want to ask you this. So, what do you think the role of business leaders who care is then, with respect to everything going on, to ensure there's three types of well-being I kind of categorize: financial, physical, and mental, which could include spiritual. So what is the role of business leaders with respect to those those aspects of well-being, and how it impacts their employees, their employees' families, and the community and the business?
Mhm. I think that if you're going to survive in tomorrow's world, which is actually today, today is the beginning of tomorrow.
Right.
You aren't looking at those three things, if you aren't looking at ways where your employees, your third party vendors, anyone who touches your company, your distributors, your end consumers aren't winning from you when they touch you in each of those three ways, then you will not survive. And I really think that you named it. Those are the three pillars you better take a look at right now and restructure your thought process and your operations to adapt good habits that are going to affect people in a positive way for those particular three pillars.
Yeah, no, right on. So I know you've written a book, right?
I did.
Tell us
I've
about.
written two. Actually, I haven't launched. The second one hasn't been published yet.
Mhm.
The first one was Million Dollar Lips. That's been in the market about 10 years. The second one is Billion Dollar Lips. And we were going to launch it last year, but you know what happened, and we didn't feel like it was appropriate.
Right.
So right now it looks like about October we will launch Billion Dollar Lips.
This is too LA-ish, but it sounds like a movie.
No, it's not one of those. It really is, it's from a woman leader's perspective and what it takes to truly build on a daily basis.
That's fantastic. And I meant to ask you even earlier. So tell us how the name of your company came about.
Senescence is a combination of two words. The first, senescence, which is the process of aging,
Hmm.
and the second is intelligence. So it's either intelligent aging or aging intelligently. And oddly enough, we don't really use those catchphrases in our marketing materials at all. We haven't done that yet, although we were also the very first company to, all this makeup that I have on my face is anti-aging skincare. So we mixed the long-lasting color technology with our anti-aging complexes so that as you build your makeup on, your skin becomes more beautiful. We were the first in the world to do that. So it really is a fantastic skincare system that you have on your skin 24 hours a day, including during the day when women wear makeup. Okay, so that was the original intent, but the colors are so fun to play with that, we're only 20 years old. And if you consider companies like L'Oreal and
Yeah.
Max Factor and Revlon, I mean, they're really old. So we've just gone through our first 20 years and we've had a lot of fun with our colors. And we have a lot of room to start now taking advantage of those other niche markets where that we can use what we already have and what um, improving the technologies of what's already there. And of course, offer women even better products as we move forward, which we're constantly doing.
Yeah, it seems so. Of course, why wouldn't you have like what we call an omni-win of having the makeup and the anti-aging at the same time, right?
Right. Only makes sense to me.
I know. No, I love it. Hey, this is fantastic. We can probably be talking for hours. I love, first of all, congratulations on your success as a business, but just as equal about the importance of empowering women, and because we're so aligned with that and believe that if we do empower women, that's going to bring all the other things up along with it, all the other sustainable development goals that are out there along with it. And so thanks for being one of the leaders who care.
It's my God-given pleasure. And thank you for being obviously a leader of leaders who care.
I can't wait for the sequel. $1 trillion lips.
Just talk to my husband about that. I don't know if I'm going to be around that long.
You will. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Mark.